Year 12. Welcome to the first flipped classroom video of your HSC. Today we are going to be looking at 4 dot points. They are all very closely related, so not every video is going to have a lot of dot points like this, but this one will. And let's get stuck into it. So one of the big skill sets that we will continually drive into you guys is to know your dot points, understand what level of understanding is required for each one of them, know the content of each dot point, and understand the context. So our first one is explain why the maintenance of a constant internal environment is important for optimal metabolic efficiency. Next one we have is describe homeostasis as the process by which organisms maintain a relatively stable internal environment. Then we have explain that homeostasis consists of 2 stages, detecting the changes from the stable state and then counteracting changes from the stable state. Outline the role of the nervous system in detecting and responding to environmental changes. So what do we mean by unpacking the dot points? The first thing here is that you'll see that you've got some bolded sections. These are our verbs. So we want to, here, the first one, which is explain why, this one is asking us for a cause and effect. So what we're looking for is that if our body can maintain a constant internal environment, that's great, but why is it important for optimal metabolic efficiency? So explain why we need this in order to achieve this. Here we have describe homeostasis. So this is a word that we haven't really come across before, but you will either love it or hate it by the end of it. We have describe. So it's just looking for some features. Over here we have another verb, explain. So again, we need cause and effect. And then one here is outline. Now outline is basically, try and get a big picture. What's the big picture view? You don't really have to go into super fine details with this. Outline is just kind of, show me an outline of Australia. You just basically draw me Australia, and if you want to include Tasmania, then sure. All right, so we've got some verbs. Very good. Let's get stuck into it. Alrighty, so we need a quick recall. So what do we learn in Year 11 and Junior Biology? Firstly, we know that all living things are composed of cells. Cells have organelles that carry out specialized functions, and you can see them over here. But what goes on inside a living cell is mainly a matter of chemical reactions, and it's those chemical reactions that need to occur in order for life to occur. So basically, it's a matter of chemistry. So, so biochemical reactions is basically going, I have a product A and I need, I have a reactant A and I need a product B, and your body will facilitate this chemical reaction using something called an enzyme. Now, we are going to cover enzymes to death later on in later videos, so don't stress about them just yet. Just know that they are a molecule inside of your body. These enzymes operate within a narrow range of conditions, so they need a kind of set level of chemical environment in order to actually do the job of taking the reactant A to convert it to reactant B. If the conditions vary from outside of this range, enzyme activity will either drop or cease, and this kind of sucks because we need those things for life. This is what is referred to as metabolic efficiency. So a couple of things that need to be staying at a constant level. We've got pH, we've got temperature, we've got glucose levels, we have oxygen levels. And so you can see here in this graph that if we are in a narrow range, if this is kind of the ideal line, the solid line along here is ideal, we can kind of deviate a little bit from here. But too much or too high and you get into some sort of danger zone, and too little or too low and you get into some sort of danger zone. Alright, so scientists have given the process a name by which the humans are able, or all animals are able to maintain a constant internal environment, and that is homeostasis. And so really, get that definition down pat. You need to understand that homeostasis is a process by which the body maintains a constant internal environment. Alright. In order to do that, though, there are a couple of stages. The first stage, this is detection. We need to be able to detect a change in the external state because they'll affect our internal conditions. And we have receptors. Now you might have come across a couple of these receptors before. Some examples are thermoreceptors. They detect heat. We have osmoreceptors. This detects the osmotic balance. We have chemoreceptors. They just detect any kind of range of chemicals. They will be tailored to a particular chemical. And then we have mechanoreceptors, and they can detect movement, pressure, and pain. In animals, receptors are highly specialized nerve cells that detect stimuli. Organisms can counteract the changes, though, from the stable state using effectors. So this is our second stage, which is responding. Effectors are usually muscles or glands, and examples include our sweat glands. If it gets too hot, we can cool down using sweat. If it gets too cold, we need to shiver. We can use our skeletal muscles. So these are effectors. These are things that allow us to enable a response. So we get to this concept called a stimulus response pathway, and this is a flowchart that you guys should get into a habit of not a habit, you get into some practice. Might be worth just kind of jotting this down at some point. So you start with a stimulus, and it is detected by a receptor, and it travels along a sensory neuron. We'll get to what they are in a moment. And it goes inside the CNS. CNS stands for the central nervous system. The central nervous system computes this stimulus, and it will determine what it needs to happen, and it goes down a motor neuron, and it goes to the effector, and we get a response out of this. Alright, so let's have a look. We've got the role of the nervous system. We've got, I want you to have a look at this diagram. We've got the central nervous system. This comprises of our brain and our spinal cord going all the way down to our tailbone. And then we have the peripheral nervous system, which is basically any nerves that are coming off this main stem. So we have, if we have an afferent pathway, and those are the sensory neurons here. And then we have our hypothalamus. This is a part of the brain that generally does a lot of our homeostatic control. It's located just kind of, it's a little tiny little organ just in here. Alright, so this part of CNS, and then we have an efferent pathway, and our efferent pathway is our, obviously, it's our something going to an effector. Alright, the afferent pathway, it was affected by something, and now we want to cause an effect, so we go down the effector pathway, efferent pathway. Oops. Alright, and then we have our effector organs, muscles, and glands, which we've covered. There are a bunch of different types of nerves here. We have our sensory nerves, we have our relay nerves, and we have our motor nerves. Now, in each one of these, you can kind of see that there's a little bit different, but they all look kind of similar. We have our nucleuses here, and then we have some kind of cabling, and that cabling is pretty important. We have the areas that are attached to other parts of the body or other cells, and these are these parts down the bottom here. Alright, so that was your first flipped video. What did we learn? Well, the body needs to maintain a constant internal state in order to carry out life functions. Homeostasis is the name for this process. It has two stages. Stage 1, detection. Stage 2, responding. We also learned that the nervous system allows for the detection and response to changes in the environment due to highly specialized cells called neurons. And the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, is the control center of the body. It interprets the detected stimuli and coordinates what response should happen.